Welcome. We're going to do a series of exercises today, focusing on your glutes and focusing on your thighs. A great way to stabilize your knee. And for a lot of us too, when our glutes are weak, we often get back pain. So it's great to do standing work. We're just going to start facing forward so you can get an idea of alignment. My toes are together and my knees are together. And in good posture, the second toe faces forward. So think about that wherever you are in space. Now I'm just going to turn slightly to the side so you can also see my side position. So when I bend my knees, I've got a nice long line going through the center of my shin and the center of my thigh. And that's our squat basic position. Hands on hips or hands down by your side. And just take a couple of little squats. I'll just see how that feels for your body. So the knees slide forward and the butt slides back. So keep the weight on the whole of the foot and make sure that your knees face forward. If you feel steady and stable, start to place the weight on one foot, float the other heel off the floor, and as you go down, just see if you feel controlled in the movement. So in Pilates, it's always about control before about intensity. So you see I've got my heel up and my knee tracks forward of my toes. And if I face you to the front again, you'll see that when I flex, the knee comes all the way forward, not in and not out. Once you've got that action, you can lift the other foot right up off the floor. It's a bit more challenging, and still continue doing the squat. So 8, 16, 20. And in Pilates, we don't necessarily have a number. You go until you start to feel the body shake and wobble. So I'm focusing on having my knee facing forward. I'm focusing on keeping my hips level. And at the same time, I've got good upper body posture. So it's quite challenging to drive that knee forward, let your butt go out the back. And if you're doing this one effectively, you'll feel the whole front muscle here, but you'll also feel your glute muscle. Now, if you're not feeling your glute muscle, you can bring that foot down to the ground and push through the floor with your standing leg a little bit more. So deliberately try and engage it. If that doesn't work still, we need to do some exercises lying on the ground. By now, this leg should be working. Let's change sides. So remember, feet together, hips are level, float the heel off the floor, but all the weight's on the standing heel leg. Squat down, checking your knee goes forward and your butt goes back, and still keep posture. And it's kind of cool, these ones, you'll notice that as you keep your body down, you'll fall forward. A little bit of control through the shoulder blades always, and start to notice whether you have a difference in sensation from one leg to the other. So many of us have one side that's a little bit stronger than the other. Good, so remember when you're aligning, it's the second toe in line with the center of the knee. Good, and then if you wish to, you can float that leg up and continue doing the same process. So as you lower yourself down, if you feel the knee wander in, you've got to switch the muscle on right up here on the outside of the thigh. That's where you get the control from. It's called your gluteus medius, and in most people it's a little bit weak. If you're not feeling it in the butt, remember, you can place the other foot on the ground without pushing into it, but deliberately drive this heel down. So push through the floor as you stand. So it's like you're doing two extra things. It's not just straightening the leg, it's pushing through the floor as you stand. Good, so that's our first little progression. Once you feel steady and stable, once you can bend and straighten your leg without losing the alignment, you can progress into some harder exercises. So I'm going to turn to the side. This time I'm going to take my hands and open out really wide. Squeeze the shoulder blades so I focus on my upper back. Bending the knees, so both knees face forward. Float one foot off the floor. Now I'm going to drive that leg back, and you'll see my body is in a straight line. And then as I come up, I lift my knee up. Good, so now it's two actions. The knee's on the squat, but I'm adding a bend pattern in my hips. Such a good postural exercise. So things to be aware of. When you're driving that leg back, the lower back stays in that little neutral curve. Try not to flatten it. When the knee comes up, the back stays in that little neutral curve. Try not to flatten it. So the pelvis is swinging, or rather the thigh bone is swinging in the pelvis. Something else to think of as you come forward is keep the shoulders nice and pulled back so the chest is open. So if you took a picture of me at any stage of this movement, the relationship between my head, my hips, and my ribs would stay the same. So by now you should be really feeling strong work on that standing leg. And then come back up. You notice as we come back up, no shift between head, ribs and hips. Sink down through the knee, making sure it faces forward, and then start to float back. So just do your first one slow like we did on the other side, checking that there's no twists, everything's stable to the front, and then drive that knee through as you extend the floor leg. Bend the floor leg, drive the airborne leg back, and then lift. So take the time that you need. And Pilates is all about getting rid of the micro wobbles. So the more stability you have, the more you're training all the small muscles. So it's not just about getting those great big muscles that you can see working. It's about getting the tiny little ones that stabilize the joints. So once again, remember, as we go forward and back, belly stays on, lower back stays curved, shoulder blades stay pulled back, and the head, distance between my chin and my collarbones stay the same. And that way we're not just doing a leg exercise anymore, we're doing a full body posture exercise. Hopefully by now you're starting to feel good work in that glute. Hopefully your legs feel good from doing that exercise.